The author of the #1 bestseller, Rediscovering Americanism and the Tyranny of Progressivism. A rare appearance. It's hard to grab this guy out of his bunker. Radio talk show host. I call him the Great One, Mark Levin. Mark, great to see you. I truly, honestly, in my heart of hearts, wish we didn't have to talk about this again. The president is right about vetting. If you come from these countries with these really sick ideologies and oppression of innocent people. What about people that are here that we never vetted? You can't even vet people that aren't here without being called racist and Islamophobic. Don't we need to do a better job of understanding those that may have bought into this sick, twisted ideology?
Yeah, there's no question about it. But what's very interesting about this mass killer, he came here in 2010, so he was 22 years old. He wasn't a 4-year-old who came across the border with his mother. He came here, he was 22 years old, and he came under a program called the Diversity Visa Program. I started digging into this. You know what that is, Sean? It's a lottery program. It's been in existence for some time. 50,000 people a year come in here through the Diversity Visa Program because the Diversity Visa Program was set up, you see, to make sure that underrepresented countries can send their people into this country, too. And he did that in 2010. The program started before 1990, but in 1990 is when the current program was put into law under the Immigration Act. Do you know who the sponsor was? Chuck Schumer, the senior senator of New York.
Good grief.
It was and it took effect in 1995. People go online and they apply. They apply online, and it's a lottery system. That's no way to run an immigration system. I had a caller on my radio program tonight, and he said he used to work counterintelligence. Al-Qaeda and ISIS have actively been working to use this program to put sleepers in our country. This mass killer has claimed an association with ISIS, hasn't he? This diversity visa program should be gutted. We don't need a diversity visa program where 50,000 people a year come into this country through a lottery system because we want diversity from different countries. And we seem to forget the purpose of immigration. Historically, the purpose of immigration is to improve the United States, is to benefit the United States, not to ensure diversity from foreigners coming into this country, not to ensure that certain countries are well represented or even certain refugees are coming here from wherever they're coming from. Immigration is supposed to improve the United States. It has nothing to do with improving other countries and so forth. Also, some of your guests said something that I agree with 100%. You know, Barack Obama pulled our FBI agents and other people out of these mosques. We need physical individuals, FBI agents, whomever they are, to monitor certain situations. Pew did a study a couple of years ago, and I have it in my book, Plunder and Deceit. Pew, not me, Pew did a study. They surveyed American Muslims throughout the country. Over 80% of them said not enough is being done by the leadership in their own community in the United States to tap down the violent rhetoric and so forth. 5% said that, of people who are here, 5% said violence is acceptable. Now, the vast majority say no, and we keep saying the vast majority say no. But when are we going to have an honest discussion about this? We have discussions about race every other day. We have discussions about everything every day. But this issue is taboo because people don't want to destroy their careers, or we're told that you're a bigot if you bring it up. We're not a bigot if we bring it up. We're not condemning Muslims. We're condemning people who promote violence. And when they yell what they yell after they attack people, they've confessed, they've self-identified as to who they are. So in many respects, it is an immigration issue.
You know, Mark, it seems so basic. It seems so fundamental. It's what we call simple common sense. And that is that, okay, in light of the death, the destruction, the stated intent to kill innocent men, women, and children in the name of this fanatical, radical Islamic ideology, to me, it's basic common sense that if you want the honor of getting into this country, one, you should do it legally. Two, we just need to know that you're not going to want to kill us. And similarly, we probably have let many people in that do have extreme ideologies. Now, you're a constitutional authority. How do you do this? Thread the needle between the use of intelligence, vetting people, protecting the Fourth Amendment, their constitutional rights, and also protecting the American people. It's a harder question than it seems on the surface.
It's a harder question because you do have due process rights in some respects depending on the status of the individual, okay? The other problem is 40% of the federal judiciary is filled with Obama appointees. So when the President of the United States does something that's perfectly rational,
and they go judge shopping,
follows the statute, they're finding judges in Honolulu, in Baltimore, in Seattle, who are Obama judges. How many Reagan judges, how many even Bush judges have been involved in any of these immigration decisions? Very, very few. And what they're doing is the courts have now nationalized the immigration issue where the president's hands are tied. This is absurd. I mean, these are the same leftists who used to cheer FDR and claim that he's the greatest president in American history. FDR was rounding up Japanese Americans and Americans of Japanese descent, and they love FDR. Donald Trump is following the Constitution, following the statute, trying to protect America. I mean, we even have a federal judge who talks about due process rights for aliens before they even come to the United States to determine whether they should be here. This is progressivism gone nuts, and it's going to kill a lot more people. And you would have thought after 9/11 that people would take this issue of immigration seriously. Immigration is about national security, and you're exactly right. Once people get into the country, it becomes far more complicated. So you want to stop them at the border. And when the President of the United States said, as he did when he first came into office, we can't vet these people. Some of these governments are at effective war with us. Some of them don't exist. Some of them are involved in civil wars. You know, we can't call Yemen and say, hey, can you check this guy out on your computer system? There is no computer system. There is no effective government. And what the president is saying is,
we can't take the risk.
You can't bring people in from these countries until we figure out what's going on.
You know, it's so funny what you said about this president being constitutional, because on the issue of DACA, it was Barack Obama who said, I don't have the power to act unilaterally, and it was President Trump that respected co-equal branches of government, separation of powers, things you discuss all the time. All right, we're running out of time. I want to get into a couple of issues. We have this whole Uranium One scandal. Our national security was sold out. Now we learn that Mueller, Rosenstein, Holder all knew about bribery, racketeering, extortion, money laundering, all happening in 2009. Holder still signed off on it. Mueller's investigating it. Mueller's appointed by Rosenstein. Between that and the Trump dossier that Clinton, the DNC, and Obama paid for, bought and paid for, Russian lies, propaganda to impact the American people on an election, I've got to know what you think about this, because to me, there is the real Russia conspiracy collusion.
Well, it's worse than collusion, isn't it? You know, 50, 60, 70 years ago, if any politicians, any administration had conferred control over 20% of America's uranium to the Russians, what do you think would happen? What do you think would happen? I mean, that would be considered an absolute, unbelievable act of treason. Now, I use this word treason because the Democrats made it popular when they were attacking Donald Trump Jr. for having a meeting. But you take those two cases. I'll tell you something else about Mueller. Let me jump right into his indictment of Manafort and Gates, if I may, just briefly, to show you what an incompetent this guy is, and yet what an iron-fisted, out-of-control prosecutor this guy is. I read his indictment. It's irrational. First, he uses a marquee above one of the segments, says, conspiracy against the United States. Now, most normal prosecutors put conspiracy, but he puts it out for the press because the press is stupid and the press wants to say what Mueller's saying. Conspiracy against the United States, like he's one of the Rosenbergs or something, which, of course, Manafort and Gates are not. Let's take a look quickly at the money laundering. To evade taxes is one of the reasons, right? But they don't charge them with tax evasion. So you're evading taxes and you don't charge them with tax evasion? What's that all about? Honestly, I don't know. To evade registering as a foreign agent. To evade registering as a foreign agent so he's laundering money, that charge is almost never brought. And if it is, you know what it is? It's a misdemeanor.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're telling me a man commits a felony to cover up a misdemeanor? That doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to me. Then we talk about foreign bank accounts. They're unreported, right?
You got 20 more, 20 seconds.
Were taxes paid on those funds?
Yeah.
Were taxes paid on those funds? Well, he didn't charge them with tax evasion. I guess they were.